When I found out I was pregnant, my hands were literally shaking, but not half as much as the moment I learned my boyfriend told his entire friend group the baby probably isn't his. And the reason? A gift bag. An empty gift bag he found in my closet. I had discovered the pregnancy 3 weeks earlier, the little blue plus sign on the test making my heart skip. Excitement, disbelief, and pure joy wrapped around me like a warm blanket. I couldn't wait to tell him. We had been planning our future together, daydreaming about nurseries, names, and tiny little socks that I had already started buying online. I pictured him smiling, maybe even tearing up, as we shared that moment. That morning, I woke up in our apartment with the sunlight spilling over the beige curtains, the soft hum of the heater warming the room. I sat up, feeling the flutter of nerves, imagining how tonight would go. I had been keeping the pregnancy a secret, not because I wanted to hide it from him, but because I wanted it to be perfect. A private dinner, just us, maybe a bottle of champagne, and then the reveal. But perfection doesn't exist when trust is already cracking beneath the surface. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I noticed it. The gift bag. Plain white, branded with a boutique name I had never shopped at. It was lying awkwardly behind a stack of papers, like it had been deliberately hidden or forgotten. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, I didn't even remember buying it. And that's when he walked in. "Hey babe," he said, voice casual, hands in the pockets of his hoodie. But the look in his eyes, that look was icy, sharp, accusing. It made my chest tighten. "What's wrong?" I asked, holding the mug close. He didn't answer me. He just picked up the bag, turned it over in his hands, and his expression darkened. "Whose is this?" he demanded. I don't know. Maybe it's empty. I looked. Inside, empty. And it's not yours? It's not mine?" His voice rose with every word. "Did you cheat?" I laughed, because nothing about this was funny, but the sound came out sharp and trembling. "Are you serious? You're accusing me of cheating over a shopping bag?" He glared, jaw tight, eyes narrowing. "I'm serious. I'm telling my friends. They need to know." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Every ounce of excitement and joy I had felt about my pregnancy evaporated. My stomach sank, my hands trembled. He didn't even look at me. He didn't ask for an explanation, didn't wait to hear my side. He just stormed toward the bedroom, phone in hand, tapping out messages to his friends. I followed, desperate, voice breaking. "Please, just listen to me. It's not what you think." But he didn't hear me. He never did. The words he sent to his friends flashed across my mind, each one a dagger. "Bro, I think she cheated. I found something." And the something was literally a gift bag, one that had no connection to any infidelity, one I hadn't even remembered existed. I tried to grab the phone, but he pushed past me, fists tight around the device. I can't be around someone who lies to me. I need clarity. And just like that, he left. Just like that, the entire narrative of our life together shifted. I sank onto the edge of the bed, staring at the bag. My mind raced. Who would have put it there? Why didn't I remember it? Did it matter? Because apparently, to him, it mattered enough to ruin everything. The silence was deafening, and then my phone buzzed. A screenshot from a mutual friend. Ethan's words to his group chat glowing on my screen. "Guys, I'm worried she cheated. Look at this." And there it was, the bag, out of context, misinterpreted, a seed of doubt growing into a forest of betrayal. I couldn't breathe. My heart was hammering so hard, I thought it would escape my chest. I had dreamed of this moment, this pregnancy, this announcement. Now, the announcement was irrelevant. All that mattered was proving my innocence, convincing him that I was telling the truth, and salvaging a relationship that seemed to be crumbling by the second. I ran my hands through my hair, desperate. I had to figure it out. I had to find some trace of evidence, some clue that would make him see the truth. But the harder I thought, the more impossible it felt. Every happy memory, every plan we made, was now shadowed by suspicion. I remembered then the baby's ultrasound photo tucked in the drawer. I held it close, feeling the life growing inside me, the one thing that remained untouched by lies or assumptions. I whispered to it, to the tiny heartbeat I had already fallen in love with. "We'll get through this, somehow." Hours passed. I combed through the apartment, looking for receipts, online order histories, anything that would explain the bag. Every search ended the same way: empty hands, a mounting frustration, and a heart weighed down with disbelief. He returned that evening, his friends' messages now adding fuel to the fire. "She probably cheated," one said. "You're gonna regret not leaving her," another wrote. He showed me the texts, his expression twisted in anger and hurt. I looked at him, at the man I loved, and for the first time realized how fragile trust could be. "I didn't cheat," I said, voice small but steady. "You have nothing. That bag doesn't mean anything. It's mine. It's random. He cut me off. "Save it. I don't want to hear your excuses." And just like that, our future, which I had been dreaming of for weeks, seemed to vanish. My mind raced, spinning a web of panic, disbelief, and sorrow. I couldn't understand how something so trivial, so insignificant, could spiral into such a massive betrayal. I sat alone in the living room, clutching the ultrasound photo, staring at the empty space where he had been moments ago. The apartment, once a home of love and laughter, felt alien, cold, like the walls themselves had judged me for a crime I hadn't committed. I thought about calling my mom, but what would I say? My pregnancy, my joy, now overshadowed by this absurd accusation. And yet, I knew I had to act. I couldn't let this misunderstanding define my story, my child's story, or my life. I picked up the bag again, turning it over in my hands, trying to find something, anything that could prove my innocence. And then I remembered. I had bought it months ago for a birthday gift for his mother, something special. I had completely forgotten. But would he believe that? Would anyone believe it? I sank back onto the couch, holding my stomach, whispering apologies to the baby, not for anything I did, but for the chaos that had already begun to surround us. My joy, my anticipation, my dreams, all tainted by doubt, suspicion, and betrayal. This wasn't just about a bag. It was about trust, about love, about the reality that sometimes even the smallest things can destroy everything you've built. And in that quiet, lonely moment, I realized one thing. I had to fight. Not for him, not for his friends, not for appearances, but for myself and the life growing inside me. Because if I didn't stand up now, if I didn't take control, everything could be taken away. The next morning, the apartment felt smaller, colder. Every corner reminded me of his suspicion. Every echo of his laughter now replaced with tension. I sat at the kitchen table, clutching the ultrasound photo like a lifeline, trying to steady my racing heart. The messages from his friends kept coming. Screenshots of group chats, text threads filled with judgment, disbelief, and cruel assumptions. I can't believe she'd do this. Bro, you sure? Man, get out now before it's too late. I stared at them, my mind spinning. How had a single gift bag spiraled into this? It was ridiculous. And yet, here I was, isolated and attacked, without a chance to explain. I called my best friend, Harper. Harper, I don't know what to do. He told his friends the baby isn't his because of a bag? My voice cracked. But Harper's calm tone was the first anchor I'd had in hours. Okay, Liv, let's breathe. Think logically. Let's find that bag's origin. You said you bought it, right? Yes, I think, but I don't remember why. It's from some boutique I never shop at, I admitted. Harper was quiet for a second, then asked the question that made my stomach drop. Are you sure someone else didn't put it there? I don't know. I mean, maybe, but who would? And why would they pick this moment? We spent hours scrolling through online orders, searching emails, receipts, and memory banks. Nothing matched the boutique logo. Nothing connected. I even searched old messages, asking his family, my family, anyone who might know about a present. Then it hit me. I remembered. Months ago, I had bought a gift for his mother's birthday. She loved that boutique. I had carefully wrapped it, placed it in the white branded bag, and left it in the closet before a rush trip for work. Somehow, it got buried under my things, forgotten. Harper, I think I found it. It's from months ago. A gift for his mom, I whispered, feeling hope bubble up cautiously. Perfect. Now you have evidence. Pictures, receipts, anything that proves it. Show him, Harper urged. I snapped photos, sent receipts, even wrote a timeline explaining my every move. Logical, organized, undeniable. I felt a flicker of confidence. Surely now he'd see the truth. But no, when I tried to explain, he stared at me with that same icy disbelief. So, you just left it there? And I'm supposed to believe that? He asked, voice dripping with accusation. Yes, that's exactly what happened, I said, frustration rising. Why would I ever? Save it. I don't want excuses. I've already told my friends. This isn't about the bag anymore. The words hit me like a physical blow. It wasn't about the bag. It was about control, about humiliation, about turning the story to his side and rallying everyone against me before I could defend myself. His friends continued to message, screenshots flooding my phone. Some were angry, some were shocked, some were cruel. Bro, she's hiding something. Doubt is natural, man. Better get a test before it's too late. I retreated into the closet, clutching the ultrasound, thinking about the baby. I thought about the life I was growing inside me, innocent of any drama or suspicion. And yet, somehow, this tiny life was now caught in a storm I hadn't asked for. I needed a plan. I couldn't just sit here and let rumors spread, let accusations fester. I made a list. Evidence, receipts, timestamps, messages. I organized everything, logically, clearly, in a way even the most stubborn person couldn't ignore. I went to his workplace, left a copy of the receipt for the boutique purchase, a note explaining the timing, and my side of the story. I hoped someone there would help him see reason, but I knew it was unlikely. Pride, ego, and preconceptions were bigger obstacles than facts. At home, I tried to reach him. Texts, calls, even showing up at his door. Each time, he ignored me or turned the blame around. "You need to fix this yourself. I don't want to hear it." The isolation weighed heavily. Friends who had been neutral before, now whispered and looked at me sideways. The judgment was relentless. I felt trapped, suffocating. Every explanation I offered was met with skepticism. Every tear I shed seemed to confirm some twisted story in their minds. And then a new accusation landed like a bomb. "I think maybe you're hiding something bigger," he said one evening, voice low but threatening. "Maybe it's not just about the bag. Maybe the baby isn't mine at all." The words were sharp, deliberate, a paternity accusation, before even a hint of a test, before any proof. My knees buckled. How could he think this? I had been faithful, open, transparent. The bag was months old, forgotten, harmless, and yet he weaponized it to question my entire existence. I cried, I screamed, I begged him to trust me, to think logically, but it was like talking to a wall. Every defense I offered seemed to reinforce his conviction. Harper stayed on the phone, her voice the only calm I had. "You're doing everything right. You're organized, clear, truthful. Don't let him gaslight you. Document everything. This will be important later." Later. That word haunted me. What later? I felt powerless, abandoned, isolated by a man I had loved, betrayed by the friends he had confided in. And all because of an empty bag that meant nothing, a misinterpreted gift, a chain reaction of suspicion fueled by ego and pride. As the days stretched on, I tried to piece together every memory, every interaction, every detail that could prove my innocence. Each attempt met with disbelief. Each piece of evidence questioned, twisted, ignored. I realized then that this wasn't just about a misunderstanding. This was about a choice he made, to believe a false narrative, to share it with his friends, to humiliate me before even listening. I sat alone in the apartment one night, staring at the ceiling, tracing patterns with my finger. My mind wandered to the baby, tiny and innocent, a life I had created with love. And in that moment, a determination ignited inside me. If he wouldn't see the truth, if his friends wouldn't, if everyone around me doubted me, I would find a way to show it. I would uncover every detail, leave no stone unturned, and prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that I was telling the truth. Because this baby, and my integrity, deserved more than half-hearted trust or baseless suspicion. And as I sat there, alone, exhausted, and emotionally drained, I promised myself I would fight. Not out of anger, but out of love, for my child, for myself, for the truth that no one, not even him, could steal. I couldn't sleep that night. The apartment was silent, except for the faint hum of the heater and the distant sound of cars on the street. My mind replayed every confrontation, every accusation, every message from his friends. The gift bag, that stupid, meaningless gift bag, had turned my entire world upside down. I sat cross-legged on a living room floor, holding the ultrasound photo, tracing the tiny outline of my baby's head with trembling fingers. This child doesn't deserve this chaos, I thought, and neither do I. It was Harper who called first thing in the morning. "Liv, I have an idea," she said. "Maybe we need to find the original receipt or the gift confirmation from months ago. Something undeniable. Something that proves you didn't even think about the bag since you bought it." I know. I don't know if it will matter. He refuses to believe anything. But I had to try. I opened my laptop, combing through every online order, every message, every memory from months ago. Then it hit me, like a lightning bolt. The gift bag wasn't random. It wasn't evidence of anything scandalous. It was from last April, when I had bought a delicate necklace for his mother's birthday. I remembered now. The boutique, the wrapping paper, the white embossed bag. I had left it in the closet before leaving for a business trip, completely forgetting it existed. I snapped pictures of the receipt, the packaging, even the handwritten note I had included in the box. It's all here, I whispered to myself, hope flickering. I confronted him, determined to finally make him see reason. Look, I said, holding the evidence in front of him, this bag is from months ago. It's a gift for your mother. You can see the receipt. You can see the date. There's no reason to think otherwise. His eyes narrowed, skepticism etched deep in his face. Really? He said, voice low, almost mocking. You expect me to believe that? A gift bag just sitting in your closet for months, conveniently showing up now? Yes, I shouted, frustration spilling over. It's not convenient. You're choosing to believe something else. His silence was heavy, suffocating. Then he said something that cut me deeper than any accusation before. Liv, maybe you're hiding something bigger, something you don't want me to see yet. My chest tightened. Hiding something bigger? I had done nothing but love, nurture, and plan for this baby. And yet here I was, accused of something I hadn't even imagined. The emotional weight became unbearable. Tears streamed down my face as I sat on the couch, clutching the ultrasound like a lifeline. The sense of betrayal, isolation, and disbelief was crushing. I had expected support, trust, partnership. Instead, I faced doubt, suspicion, and humiliation. And then he dropped the ultimate bomb. I think we need a paternity test, he said, almost casually, like it was a reasonable request. I froze. My heart stopped. A paternity test before the baby was even born? The words echoed in my mind, each one heavier than the last. He didn't trust me. He didn't believe me. He needed a test to prove something that was already obvious. I shook my head, tears blurring my vision. You're insane. You think I would? After everything we've been through, that I would betray you? Liv, it's the only way to be sure. I can't live with doubt, he said, his tone cold and detached. Doubt. That single word pierced me to the core. I had carried the weight of every emotion, every accusation, every whisper from his friends. And now, even with evidence in my hands, he still didn't believe me. I felt utterly alone. The city outside continued its indifferent hum. People walked by, oblivious to the storm raging inside my apartment, to the betrayal I felt in the man I loved. I wanted to scream, to break something, to release the anger and heartbreak that consumed me. I paced the floor, my fingers trembling. I remembered the first moment I had seen the positive test. The joy, the disbelief, the overwhelming love. That love hadn't vanished, but it was now intertwined with pain, suspicion, and betrayal. I thought about my baby, growing inside me, completely innocent of this chaos. I thought about the life I wanted to build, the trust I wanted to cultivate, and I realized something crucial. This wasn't just about proving him wrong. This was about protecting myself, protecting my child, and reclaiming my sense of power. I gathered all the evidence again: receipts, timestamps, photos, my detailed explanation. I sent it to Harper, asking her to review and make sure everything was airtight. Then I drafted a message to him, calm and firm, stating everything clearly. I wasn't begging, I wasn't pleading. I was asserting the truth, as unassailable as I could make it. He read it. He didn't respond immediately. I waited, heart hammering, mind racing with every possible scenario. Could he finally see reason? Or was this the final confirmation that he had already made up his mind? Hours passed. I tried to distract myself, pacing, cleaning, organizing, anything to prevent the tears from consuming me entirely. But at the back of my mind, the paternity test loomed. It was a threat, a challenge, a statement that he didn't trust me, and that this innocent baby could somehow be questioned. That evening, he finally spoke. "I've read everything, but I still think we should do the test. Just to be sure. I need to know before the baby comes." I stared at him, the mix of shock, anger, and despair overwhelming. You really don't trust me at all, do you?" he said. "I need facts," he said simply. And in that moment, I understood the depth of what I was facing. This wasn't just about a bag or a misunderstanding or even his friends. This was about his refusal to trust, his need for control, and the emotional storm he had unleashed in my life. I felt my resolve harden. If he wanted a test, fine, I would do it. Not because he demanded it, not because I needed to prove anything to him, but because I refused to let the situation break me. I would face it head on, protect my baby, and come out stronger. And as I sat there, alone in the dim light, clutching the ultrasound, I made a silent promise to myself. No matter what happened with the test, no matter what he said, no matter what his friends believed, I would not let this betrayal define me. I would survive, I would protect my child, and I would reclaim my life. Because at the end of the day, the only person whose opinion truly mattered was mine, and I had a little life inside me, counting on my strength, my courage, and my unwavering truth. The morning of the paternity test arrived with a weight that pressed on my chest like 1,000 bricks. I sat in the waiting room, hands folded over my swollen belly, staring at the beige walls, trying to steady my racing heart. The ultrasound photo rested in my lap, a tiny anchor in the storm. I could still hear his words from last night, echoing, "Facts." As if my love, my loyalty, and the life growing inside me weren't enough to prove the truth. I thought back to the empty gift bag, the ridiculous accusations, the text messages to his friends. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was public. Every comment, every laugh, every sneer in his friend group had carved a wound in me. But today, I was going to draw the line. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to justify. I was going to show him that my strength was greater than his doubt. The nurse called my name, and I stood, my legs slightly unsteady. He followed silently, the tension between us thicker than ever. The car ride to the clinic was quiet, punctuated only by the low hum of the engine. He kept his eyes on the road, or perhaps on his phone, scrolling through who knows what, and I focused on my breathing. In, out. In, out. I am strong. I am enough. My baby is enough. We arrived, signed the paperwork, and the procedure began. They took the samples, and the nurse gave me a small, sympathetic smile. "It'll be a few days," she said. Days. Those felt like years. Back in the car, he finally broke the silence. "You understand, right? I just need certainty." I turned to him, eyes blazing. Certainty? After everything? After accusing me in front of your friends? After doubting me and making me feel like a criminal in my own home? You want certainty now? He hesitated. I just want to do the right thing." "The right thing?" I repeated, voice steady despite the storm inside me. The right thing would have been trust. The right thing would have been communication. The right thing would have been believing in the person you promised to build a life with. But no, you chose to humiliate me first and ask questions later. He looked down, shame flickering across his face. But I didn't let myself soften. Not yet. I had endured too much. I had been too vulnerable. The moment for empathy would come later, if it ever did. The next 3 days dragged on. Every second felt stretched. Every text notification a potential bomb. I kept myself busy, nesting, organizing, talking to my best friends and family, making lists for the baby's arrival. I refused to let the suspense swallow me. This child was my priority, not his doubts. Finally, the call came. My heart pounded as I picked up the phone. "Yes," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "This is Dr. Mendez. The results are conclusive. You are the father's biological child." "Smother," she said. I blinked. "Excuse me?" He groaned in the background, the sound of disbelief and relief. That means... "Yes," she continued patiently. "He is the biological father. There is no question." I let out a long, shuddering breath, a mixture of relief, triumph, and exhaustion. My body relaxed slightly, the tension finally starting to dissipate. I held the phone to my chest and whispered, "Finally, the truth." Ethan, standing silently nearby, finally looked at me. His eyes were wet, remorseful, and raw. "Liv, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what came over me. I can't believe I held up my hand, cutting him off. "Save it. Don't apologize yet. Not for what you're sorry for. You hurt me. You humiliated me. You doubted me and our child. You made me question everything about us." He nodded slowly, swallowing hard. "I know. I can't believe I let my insecurities get this far. I should have trusted you." "You should have," I said firmly. "And maybe that's the lesson you need to carry with you. But here's the thing. This isn't about giving you another chance to mess up. This is about me, and this is about our baby. I survived your doubts. I protected my child. I stood my ground when no one else believed me. And that makes me stronger than any apology you can offer." He looked down, shame and regret written across his face. I could see the weight of his mistakes pressing on him, but I couldn't allow myself to be consumed by empathy yet. My priority was my child, my strength, and reclaiming my life. In the days that followed, I started to rebuild. I set boundaries. I spoke with my closest friends and family, sharing every detail of what happened, making sure my story was told accurately. I documented the gift bag incident, the accusations, the messages, everything, not to shame him further, but to protect myself and ensure clarity for the future. I even began to consider a new path, creating a channel to share my story, not for revenge, not for attention, but to empower others. So many women go through similar experiences, accused, doubted, and isolated. If I could show them that strength, truth, and resilience matter more than doubt and betrayal, then maybe some good could come from this mess. And as I sat one evening, holding my growing belly, I realized how much power I had reclaimed. I didn't need him to validate my experience. I didn't need him to apologize. I didn't need anyone's permission to feel joy, to feel love, to feel proud. That child inside me was a testament to my strength, my resilience, and my unyielding determination to survive and thrive. When Ethan tried to reach out again, I spoke clearly and decisively. I am not taking you back. Not yet, not ever. You have to rebuild trust, and that trust starts with respecting my boundaries, respecting my child, and respecting me. If you can't do that, then you need to step away completely. He nodded, eyes wide with the weight of realization. I understand. And just like that, I felt a freedom I hadn't experienced in months. I was no longer trapped by his doubts or by the whispers of his friends. I was no longer defined by someone else's fear and insecurities. I was defined by my courage, my strength, and the love I had for my child. When Ethan tried to reach out again, I spoke clearly and decisively. I am not taking you back. Not yet, not ever. You have to rebuild trust, and that trust starts with respecting my boundaries, respecting my child, and respecting me. If you can't do that, then you need to step away completely. He nodded, eyes wide with the weight of realization. I understand. And just like that, I felt a freedom I hadn't experienced in months. I was no longer trapped by his doubts or by the whispers of his friends. I was no longer defined by someone else's fear and insecurities. I was defined by my courage, my strength, and the love I had for my child. When Ethan tried to reach out again, I spoke clearly and decisively. I am not taking you back. Not yet, not ever. You have to rebuild trust, and that trust starts with respecting my boundaries, respecting my child, and respecting me. If you can't do that, then you need to step away completely. And just like that, I felt a freedom I hadn't experienced in months. I was no longer trapped by his doubts or by the whispers of his friends. I was defined by my courage, my strength, and the love I had for my child. Months later, when our baby was born, I held her in my arms and whispered, "You are my everything. And no one, not even your father, can ever take that away from us." I looked at Ethan one last time, a man humbled by his mistakes, standing quietly at the doorway. He had learned the cost of doubt, betrayal, and mistrust, and I had learned the immeasurable power of standing up for myself, even when the world seemed against me. That was the day I took my life and my baby's life into my own hands, and I refused to ever let anyone write our story for us again. From the moment I found out I was pregnant, to the chaos of his accusations, to the final confirmation of the truth, I had survived it all. And not only had I survived, but I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than ever. Because sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought in public. They're fought in the quiet corners of your heart. And when you fight them with courage and truth, victory is inevitable.